In this video, I'm going to look at different aspects of water crystallization. So we'll start with some definitions. Now you just have to sit and learn these off. The first one is, what is water crystallization? Well, it is water that is chemically bonded into the crystal structure. Then what is hydrated and anhydrous? Well, hydrated just means that a substance contains water crystallization. So we would talk about hydrated copper 2 sulfate. And that just means that the copper sulfate contains water of crystallization. The final definition is anhydrous. And this is a substance which does not contain water of crystallization. Now, the water of crystallization can be determined by heating the hydrated salt to constant mass. And basically this means that the sample is weighed, it is then heated and reweighed until the mass stays the same. When the mass stays the same, then it's known that the water of crystallization has all been lost. Now I am going to come back and look at how this is determined experimentally. But before I do that, let's look at how to work out the percentage of water of crystallization. I'm going to look at copper 2 sulfate, or rather hydrated copper 2 sulfate. Now copper 2 sulfate is usually just written like that. It just makes things a lot easier. But if we want to emphasize the fact that it's hydrated, then it's written as CuSO4.5H2O. Now this is an unusual formula because we've got this dot and then a number, a big number before the water. And normally there isn't a big number in the middle of a chemical formula. We normally just put the large numbers in front of a chemical formula. So anytime you see something like this, a formula, a dot, and then water, that means it contains water of crystallization. So how do we work out the percentage of water that's present in hydrated copper 2 sulfate? Well, you've got to work out the total mass of the hydrated salt. All of this. Now it's made up of two parts, the copper sulfate part and the water part. I'm going to work out the mass of the copper 2 sulfate first, the relative formula mass, or the MR of it. Well, copper is 64, sulfur is 32, and each oxygen is 16. That equals 160. Next, I work out the total mass of the water. Well, water is 18, and I've got 5 of them. Right, you can see here there are 5 water molecules. So it's 18 times 5. And that equals 90. And now I just simply add these two numbers together. So it's 160 plus 90, which equals 250. So that's the relative formula mass, or the MR, of hydrated copper 2 sulfate. So what I would say is, do it like this in 2 parts. Work out this part, and then you work out this part, and add the two together. So what is the percentage of water of crystallization? Well, we know that the total mass of the water is 90. The total mass of the hydrated salt is 250. And we simply then calculate the percentage. That works out to be 36%. So 36% of hydrated copper 2 sulfate is water. Here's another example of a hydrated salt. So why don't you pause the video, have a go at calculating the percentage of water of crystallization, and then press play to check the answer. So we do the same thing as we did before. We'll work out the mass of this part, and then the mass of this part, add them together, and that will give us the total mass of the hydrated salt. So use your data leaflet to work out the atomic masses of the barium and chlorine, etc. And for barium chloride, it's 208. We've got 2 waters, so that's 2 18s, that's 36. So the percentage of water crystallization will be 36 over the total mass. That's the 208 plus the 36. That's 244. And then we just convert that to percentage, times it by 100, that's 14.8%.